What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Shred Sessions. My name is Drew Creel. This is a Nashville-based metal podcast. So this particular episode, if you like guitar harmonies, you like old school metal, you like maybe even 80s metal, melodic metal is what these guys do. We got Fuzzripper on the show today. So we got Dusty, Tommy, and Dom here joining us today. So boys, thanks for being here.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for having us.
Heck
Pleasure,
yeah,
man.
So
and Dommy.
Yeah, Tommy and Dommy.
Yeah. That's what all the tracks he sends us. Yeah.
So you guys actually are playing a show tonight in Clarksville, and you guys all live in Clarksville, right?
Yeah.
So that's the home of the shred quarters, as I call it, as I'm calling it right now, I guess.
Oh,
But,
yeah, definitely.
Hell yeah.
So tell us about the show that you're playing tonight and all of that.
So it's a benefit show. We were playing our last show, and someone had sent me a message, and I didn't get to check it till after the show. But it's an unfortunate event, but we're raising some money for a cause. Nobody expects for a loved one to pass away, especially at a young age. So we're happy to help out with that.
Nice. And who was this person that passed away? Can we talk about that? Or
So I'm not really familiar with the person. I know Brandon Clark's the one that reached out to me, which is a local guitar player, luthier. I've seen the kid a few times at shows, but I just, probably like 20 years older than him. So
yeah, a little bit of an age gap.
Yeah.
And so this is like maybe a high school age kid that passed away unexpectedly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
He was.
And-
My little brother-in-law went to school with him. That's crazy, because I used to see him walking up and down the road and stuff all the time because he lived in our neighborhood. And I was like, whoa.
Wow, that's tragic. Yeah, that's scary. And you guys are playing at Revel House. What other bands are playing?
Oh,
Beeb's Got Soul.
and Jay Ammo, which was like, he was on The Voice.
Yeah.
He just got, I guess it's called No Chaired on The Voice. I don't know. But I mean, he's amazing. He has an amazing voice.
June Espinosa's playing with him, I think.
Yeah.
As far as I'm tracking,
Yeah,
Very cool.
I was really hoping he was going to keep going on The Voice. I don't keep up with The Voice.
Either do I.
My parents do.
It's not really metal to keep up with the voice.
No, not at all, man.
It's good to know what's going on.
But if you're watching.
Yeah, well, I want to get into Fuzzripper and have you guys like talk about kind of the history of the band, like how you guys got started. You're around the same age as me, Dusty, so I know you've been in the game for a while. Feel free to talk about you guys' previous bands, but how did this particular lineup of Fuzzripper come to be?
Sure. So we I started the band in 2017. It was originally like a one-man band kind of thing. I was in the Army at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really have time or know people to play music. So I just started writing songs. I was super into serial killer documentaries at the time. Like I'd be on CQ in the Army, 24-hour duty, watching serial killer documentaries. I'm like, man, I wonder if anyone's ever like wrote songs about all these crazy people. So that's what I did.
What's your favorite like serial killer documentary?
Green River Killer.
Okay.
Gary Ridgway.
Can you give us like the skinny on that? Like,
man, I want to say he may be the most prolific serial killer in the United States, but he basically was like a big rig painter, I think, painted some kind of trucks. And he targeted prostitutes because he knew nobody would care.
That's a theme. That's a theme
definitely.
in serial killer lore.
Man, I don't remember how many he got away with, but it's definitely in the upper 40s, maybe 50s.
Jeez Louise.
And then, with advances in modern science and DNA, which got a lot of them, he had been living a normal life and got married, and they got him,
Wow.
He actually had a mustache a lot like Tommy's.
Right. I mean,
He's actually from where Tommy
that was
is.
my neck of the woods, man.
Yeah.
I remember that being big news when like they found him, because they did, he was just a Green River Killer for a long time.
Yeah.
It wasn't just nobody knew who he was. But then they got.
Where are you from,
Ridgway.
Tommy? Like, where's Green
The
River?
Seattle area.
Okay.
Yeah, Washington State.
West Coast.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I just watched this British documentary about this guy named, his last name's West. It's like Rose West and Fred West. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, the couple.
Yeah, they had like a house where they would take in like younger kids, like high school age, like runaways or kids that were just being bad, and their parents were like, you got to move out. And I guess that's common in like England to like have these, like, it's like a halfway house type of situation. And these kids would stay, help them cook and clean. And this guy was like getting involved with these girls like in sexual ways, and then like he would just make them disappear.
Bury him under the patio.
The patio, yeah. He had these big, like, I don't know, 20-inch by 20-inch, like multiple foot big pavers that were all over his patio, and the police came in.
Then he
and dug
ran out of
all
space, so he had to do it.
Yeah,
in his basement or whatever.
I think 6 people total. Like I think that one just popped up on Netflix recently, and my wife and I watched it, and it's just that stuff it's just sick, man.
Yeah,
people
I remember
do that.
I watched one back in the day on those two, so I have to check it out. But I mean, it's obviously we're drawn to strange things like that. I think it's because it's so out there and it's unexplainable. Like in your like natural thought process, you're like, these people are insane. How could anyone ever be this insane?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like watching a car wreck. I don't know.
Yeah.
They find a way to justify it in their mind. They're like, oh, I've like injured this person and like sexually abused them.
Yeah.
I think the easiest thing to do is make them disappear. I think I can figure out a way to make that happen.
Yeah.
And then they just go through with the act.
And then never show any kind of emotion.
Yeah. I know, a psychopath, right? Is the term for that.
Another one is Richard.
Oh, the Iceman?
Yeah, Kalinsky.
I don't know. Yeah.
I think is his name.
Not Ted Kaczynski, but
no. So this guy was like murder for hire.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's why his story is kind of like unique. He got in with the mob. He came up with crazy ways to like murder people, so it was easier on him. Like I think he used what is it called, cyanide, and he'd accidentally pretend he was sneezing when he'd walk by people and sneeze it in their face, and like,
yikes,
it gets out there. He said he went out and did a job on New Year's Eve and came back and helped his kids put the Christmas tree up.
Holy shit.
Jeez, dog.
Yeah.
So you wanted to write songs about this? What's your goal with that? Like, I guess.
Well, that was the first
tunes.
album.
Okay.
And it was really just like a theme. I was, obviously really into watching the documentaries, and I actually don't watch a whole lot anymore. When you start getting older and you start having kids, your mindset changes a little bit on you. You're like, I don't really want to watch this.
You don't want that kind of stuff passing through your head.
Yeah, every now and then I'll pick one up. But yeah, I just got into my roots basically, and that was like, classic heavy metal kind of stuff, and just needed a theme, and I never knew if it was gonna be anything, but I had nothing else to do at the time, so.
So you were in the Army for a period of time, and then did you find an exit? Like,
got out in I think 2018.
Okay.
But I actually met this guy in the Army.
Okay.
And we played together on it was my last deployment. Was your last deployment?
It was my only deployment.
Yeah. So, yeah, we played guitar together, mostly like country, folky kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't really. Yeah, you play too much metal on acoustic guitar.
You're not bringing the half stack.
But the funny thing is like we never really talked about metal. We just kind of played like some songs I had been writing or whatever, and then later on, I think I even asked you if you wanted to play bass first. In the band, and then somehow through conversation, I realized, well, Tommy's into classic heavy metal too. Why doesn't Tommy just play guitar? And that's.
That's how the dual guitar assault was formed.
Right.
No, the guitar harmonies are fantastic on the recordings. Do you guys get together and plan that stuff out, or do you mostly write that, Dusty, and then Tommy figures out his part, or how does that work?
As of right now, I pretty much write everything.
Okay.
even the album that just came out, I wrote those songs in 2018, and kind of they got put on the back burner because life and things happen.
You
with
started
bands.
a family.
Well, our drummer, I'm going to call him out on a podcast. Our drummer, Jason Hartley, he runs a YouTube channel called MMA on Point, and they were gathering steam. They got really big, still are really big. He made the decision to move to the UK so he could be closer to his business partner. He's still there. So he was an incredible drummer, and it kind of just like was a pretty big blow. And I was just like, I don't want to do this for a while,
Getting a good drummer is like the most important piece of a metal band. I feel like you could have really great guitar players, but if you don't have just a killing drummer that has like good feel and can really play, like it's hard to have a successful metal band.
At the same time, I didn't hold it against him. Like he's still doing really good things with that. It's just a bummer. And he wasn't even a metal drummer, but he's good at faking it. He's just an incredible drummer.
Yeah,
more like an indie rock drummer.
Okay,
math rock.
Yeah, that math rock stuff, man.
Oh, I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, cool. Hit really hard too.
God, he hit the drums hard in a good way, like Dave Grohl kind of hard.
Wow. Yeah, a couple episodes ago, we had Barry Donegan from Look What I Did on. He's kind of like Look What I Did is kind of a math rock band. They're kind of an everything band, honestly. But he was telling me about this band called Psyopus. Do you guys remember that?
Oh, man. Yeah,
Psyopus played at the Coup, man.
Yeah, I saw them live a few times. Yeah.
Wow.
They were great.
I went down a YouTube rabbit hole on that band, and I was just like,
bro, they used to have
away.
this shirt. They had this shirt called Psyopus Counts, and it was the count from Sesame Street.
Yeah.
And on the back, it had the map of like the U.S., and it had the legal age of consent on every state. I was like, oh my gosh, dude.
Yo, dude. That is wild.
Dude, I think like North Carolina or South Carolina was like 14.
Jesus.
You gotta be kidding me.
My buddy Dave got the shirt. That's so, I saw it a lot throughout the years.
That kind of blew my mind recently when I was like watching a documentary or something, and that kind of came up that like, oh, well, she was 16, so she had the legal age of consent. And I'm just like, 16?
Yeah.
What are we
It's a
talking
child.
about here,
We need to start changing those laws.
Yeah, dude.
It's about time.
Yeah.
I have a funny story about Psyopus. My buddy Rob, me and him, like, inseparable as teenagers and stuff, and he started working with me. He was EMS for a while, and he was like, hey, man, do you remember this band? And he was, like, telling me about the video and stuff, and I'm like, not really. You're just explaining all these, like, it's a big wide variety of metal videos, and I'm friends with the guitarist of Psyopus on Facebook, Chris Arp, and he posted some big long thing about like which order to watch every Star Wars like movie and show in, and I sent it to my buddy Rob because we're both super into Star Wars, and I was like, oh no.
Didn't know, man.
But
I thought you were a Star Trek guy.
Yeah, man.
I'm definitely more of a Trekkie.
But yeah, I messaged him and I was like, you should also check out that dude's band. And dude, he like lost his shit. He was like, that's the band I've been looking for. Dude, we were like searching for like 3 months. Trying
to remember.
Yeah.
So you had seen them as kids or something, and you're like, whoa.
They were a 4-piece too, weren't they?
Yeah, dude. Their guitarist, Chris, he was fucking insane. Like, still is. I don't know if he plays anymore.
Some of the most inventive guitar, like he does. I don't think, from what I could tell, he doesn't have any music theory training really. He's just like
it's just off the wall.
It's just a flurry of notes, but he's playing like really outside, like whole tone, like just all kinds of different musical devices just thrown in a blender, Dude, it's crazy to me how like you can play something like that, put it out, and I'm like, okay, this is this song, and remember the exact parts. I'm like, I don't know how I'd be able to do that. Yeah. It's insane. There's a few. He was on like a podcast when I was doing a little YouTube research on them, and he was on a podcast, and he's shared some pretty wild stories. Like, you guys should look. What is that guy's name?
Chris Arp.
Chris Arp. Okay, yeah. That's look that guy up. Dude, look up Psyopus and do some research on that. It'll
Another band that kind of like that same era was, I don't even know if they play anymore, but Protest the Hero.
Oh my god, I was just listening to them. So
way crazy out there. And then there was this band called Lie by Mistake. I got to play with them a few times in another band. They were really out there, but it just wasn't like super popular back then. You know, like the progressive death metal kind of thing wasn't. It didn't really catch on like, you know, I wish it would have. You know, but these days it seems like it is catching on.
Yeah. People are into that. Yeah, it's you know, Dillinger Escape Plan, I think, kind of opened that can of worms.
Yeah.
At least I remember them showing up in the guitar magazines in the early 2000s and just honestly not liking it because I was like a Dream Theater guy at first. You know, I was like, what is this? These guys,
this
like,
is just noise.
And then I saw them live on the Gigantour opening up for Megadeth and Dream Theater. Totally, that was my favorite band of
Megadeth had to go on after Dillinger and Dream Theater.
I mean, Greg, their vocalist, he climbed like this, like it was a giant outdoor amphitheater, and like he climbed, it's probably 50 feet in the air.
Yep.
Like free climb, like a truss, you know. And I was like, I'm pretty sure this wasn't planned, you know. And then Ben was jumping up and down on top of a speaker cabinet, and it literally disintegrated underneath him.
Oh God!
It was like an old cab that they brought out to just destroy.
I remember those guys going insane and like not missing a beat.
I was like 18 at the time, so my brain was just like melted. I was like, this is wild.
They looked like they were on like springs or something up there. Like they were just going wild, man.
Yeah, that was Chris Penny, their original drummer on drums. That was just
incredible.
Unbelievable. Just the amount of energy being expelled in a live show is just unreal to witness. So, but what about you, man? How did you join Fuzzripper? How'd you get involved with these guys?
Tell us about it, Dom.
Well, me and Dusty have known each other for a while. Dusty actually used to play drums for my band that's on hiatus now, Ritual Caster.
Okay.
For a little while, slapping the skins for us, and then he was like, I got a lot of, you know, personal things to take care of, family stuff, work stuff, so I understood, and then I got hit up out of the blue, like 3 summers ago, and I was working for this collectible store here in town. I was in the middle of hauling stuff, moving to another store, and he's like, hey, what do you think about joining Fuzzripper? And I'm like, knowing Dusty, like I've heard all this stuff before, like the first EP. I'm like, Dusty writes insane material. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be up to par for it. I was like, but yeah, sure, why not? I was like, never hurts to challenge myself, and been good ever since then, man.
You hold it down, bro. So give yourself a little bit more credit.
Oh, right? he's come a long way on like play as far as playing, you know, this style of music. Dude, like he's come a long way for sure. It's been awesome to watch.
It's fun for sure. It's different from what I'm used to playing the stupid slow rip off Sabbath riffs, you know?
Caveman
Almost on the one.
Yeah.
But that's the best stuff.
Yeah, I'm into that too.
That's the stuff that most people like. You know?
Yeah.
But it's been fun. Like I've learned a lot, and like even with this new album and stuff, it's like there's parts where I'm like still working on, but at the same time I'm like, damn, like this is cool to like be able to play it and also still like feel like I'm moving up and not plateauing where I'm at playing bass. So it's rad. I'm excited to see what's in the future for sure.
Dude, that's my favorite thing, man. Being in a band with other talented musicians that kind of elevate you a little bit,
dude,
and kind of stretch you, but like you can still hang.
Yeah,
you know, like that's my favorite place to be. I mean, lately I feel like I'm the guy like, stretching other people, and I don't really like that as much. You know, I like to be like, you know, pushed a little bit. You know, although I do play with very talented musicians, in Proselyte and in Zaphon. So,
I think there was one band I played in that I was like, oh boy, I'm gonna have to do my homework. Like I never had to be like, you know, I gotta practice, like really gotta practice. It was this band from Huntsville called the Crashing Falcon. They were like a tech kind of death metal band. And Jake, the other guitar player, he was just incredible, man. And he was
when was this?
I think 2006, 2005, wow. 2006. Okay. And he was really into Dillinger and stuff like that. And but yeah, he was incredible, man. He pushed me. I mean, there's a lot of things I still do to this day because of Jake, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm hogging the mic. Let's hear it, Tommy.
About
Let's hear your story.
My old band, you know this. My old bands are like ska bands and stuff. Yeah.
Dude, I love
Ska
ska.
bands. Yeah, dude. Mustard Plug
from back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were big into Mustard Plug. I was just listening to some Less Than Jake on the drive.
Hell yeah, dude.
The old fat record stuff. Yeah, but yeah, that was my introduction to like playing in local bands. Was I played trombone in high school.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
You too can be in a rock band.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Tommy, you trying to start a ska band, man?
Lord, man.
I love ska,
That
dude.
scene is coming on for a reason. Yeah.
Man, I don't know how it is now, but like pre-COVID, Seattle had some of the best record shops, man.
Yeah.
Like really, really kind of like almost like frozen in time. Kinda
Oh,
like
yeah.
record shops.
Gotcha.
I mean, I don't know if they're still around, but it was awesome.
I don't remember the place, but there was a place in Seattle that I used to like to go because you could go down in the basement, get a basement, and it was just aisles and aisles of
I never
records.
went to that one.
Yeah, a lot of like 78s. Is that what they are? The old.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Records, lacquer or whatever. Yeah.
Was Amoeba in Seattle or is that in California?
I think it's California,
Okay.
maybe LA.
Okay.
When were you in Seattle record shopping? I want to hear more about that.
Oh, I just wanted to go. So when I got out of the Army, I had a friend that lived out there from the Army. He was a civilian guy working with us. And he's like, yeah, man, come on out. Come see Metallica. Which, I was like, sure, yeah.
I'll see Metallica.
Metallica, and I think it was Avenged Sevenfold, which, I mean, they're okay. They're not for me.
With Portnoy? Was he with
No.
them at that
No.
time? Okay.
I think they're a really talented band. They don't stick with me for some reason. I
Yeah.
don't know why. And Gojira,
Gojira.
Oh,
they
yeah.
were incredible.
Yeah,
And this
dude.
was like maybe when they were first kind of, kicking it off. But I was like, yeah, dude, I'm all about looking for guitars and looking at record shops. So he knew all the, nooks and crannies and everything.
That's awesome.
And it was, and it was so killer. Like, I think me and my wife went like 2 months again later. I'm like, you have to go, like, check this place out, And yeah, that's probably completely different now
yeah.
after COVID. After COVID hit, a lot of those record shops kind of went under.
Now every record shop I've been in like makes you wear a mask when you go in. It's
Yeah.
like 2025. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
We're over it now, man.
Looking at you, Great Escape. They were doing that, man. I was like, what? Like, no, I'm not wearing a mask.
Probably helps
Like,
with that musty smell, anyways.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's something cool about going into a record store and looking around for a while, like really having the time. I think going to another city kind of allows for that. You're on sort of a vacation, so you have some extra free time to like kind of peruse a little bit more. And what I love is finding a record or even a CD or like a tape that only you would know about or appreciate. And it was like a gem that was like put there just for you.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
And I have several examples of that.
Don Felder, Airborne. That album is incredible.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've listened to
the
it.
solo album of
Yeah.
Don Felder from the Eagles. It's like really synth rock
Mhm.
kind of 80s. Oh man, it's awesome. AOR.
Mm.
Yeah, if you like that heavy metal album, the soundtrack album from the animated movie, yeah, he did. He's got one track on that, and it's he's got like a whole album of that kind of
I didn't
stuff.
even know that. I love
He's
the
got the-
Eagles,
yeah.
man. That's one of my guilty pleasures. Is definitely the Eagles. I mean, there's a Don Felder story where he was supposed to do a track called oh man, what is it called? Victim of Love. He wrote it. He was tracking it. They were doing vocals, and they came up with a plan to get Don Felder out of the studio. So, their drummer
Don Henley.
Don Henley
Yeah.
could cut vocals. Because they thought
did 'em
Don would do
dirty,
it.
yeah.
Did him dirty.
Yeah.
So they got Don Felder out. Don Henley came in, did the vocals. And when he got back, they showed him. And he's like, what are you going to do? It's Don Henley. It sounds incredible. That's one of my favorite Eagles songs. Victim of Love, yeah.
I really like the Don Henley End of Innocence record.
Oh gosh, so good.
The tunes
man.
on that record are just iconic.
Yeah.
Not much into the Eagles so much, but I do like Joe Walsh.
Oh yeah,
Joe Walsh
Oh,
goes
yeah.
hard, dude.
It's weird that Joe Walsh was keeping the Eagles together.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
towards
The
end,
craziest
kinda.
guy, the most
Yeah.
unhinged
Yeah.
character.
dude. Like some of that old like Funk 49 and stuff, and oh my god, like I went back like a few years ago and was watching all these old like Saturday night special shows and stuff like on YouTube, like clips from them and like Mountain and stuff. Oh my god, dude, all that classic rock is
Dude, his
so
his
good.
tones were insane, man. And
Dude.
he had this story. I want to say it might have been with John Belushi. They went to this high profile like restaurant, and they couldn't come in because they like had blue jeans on or something, or I can't remember what it was. They had shorts on. Well, they went out and got like spray painted their legs black, and it didn't even like dry. So they like sat down at the tables, and it got the chairs all like painted and everything.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
That rules.
That's so funny. So you guys have a new record out. It's called The Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Talk about the different lyrical themes on that record, and I'll say this: like, you guys have two bangers right off the bat, Poltergeist and then City Nights, and you guys made music videos for those songs. Like, what is it like to play those songs live? Like what has the crowd reacted to those in the way that you would expect? Or
We've actually only played them live once so far, and tonight will be the second time.
Yeah.
Wow,
But
okay.
it is for us personally, it's a breath of fresh air because we've been playing the same tracks for years live. I'd say that these tracks are a lot more pop driven. They're more catchy. It's kind of like it's got that 80s guitar thing, but it's definitely pop driven songs. As far as the lyrical content, it's really just all the movies, me growing up as a kid that, my parents had on VHS or, I saw on HBO or something like that. And they stuck with me, and I, found them throughout the years so I could rewatch them. Like The Poltergeist is one of those.
Yeah.
I was addicted to that movie, man. It scared the absolute crap out of me. I had nightmares about it.
Wow.
I had a nightmare one time that the ghost like came out of this closet when my dad was stationed in Fort Polk, and like it knocked me down these stairs and I floated down and everything, and it seemed so real, and I like woke up. So I still remember that nightmare because it was terrifying. And These City Nights is actually about Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore.
Oh,
And I love that movie, man.
that's a classic.
I'm definitely a softie when it comes to like romantic type films too. And then Black and Red is straight, Freddy Krueger kind of influence.
Yeah.
My parents had that on a VHS where they recorded it off some TV show.
Dude, that makes it scarier.
Yeah. And like it took me like a full year to watch it because I'd start it and kind of look from around the corner and then be like, nah, this is too much, man.
Whoa, dude.
And then finally, eventually, I watched the whole thing, which as a kid, I was terrified of horror movies, but I like wanted to watch more, but I was absolutely terrified.
And that was like the TV version, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my family could tell you, like, I would hide. People would put on a horror movie, I would hide and like just come out every now and then kind
I'm
of
so
thing.
scared of these.
There's a movie called Pumpkinhead that absolutely terrified me as a
that's
kid.
one of my
man.
favorites, man.
Yeah.
I didn't discover that until like I was an adult, though.
Oh yeah, it
Wow.
got me, man. And Tales from the Crypt, man, definitely got me. But there's 2 tracks called "We Want Out" and "Nightbreed." It's about the movie Nightbreed or the book Cabal by Clive Barker. It's basically a side like 180 type story where the monsters are the good people and the humans are actually trying to kill them off, basically, kind of thing. In a weird way, like I relate as a human because, sometimes I have these like, either this depression or this terrible, feeling as a human, and I feel like one of them, because I don't know, it's kind of strange. I can relate to it in really strange ways watching that movie. but it's another movie I saw as a kid and I was drawn to. And then I'm trying to think, 112 Ocean Avenue, the last track, it's about the Amityville Horror. And the last track on our first album was called DeFeo. So it's kind of like a callback to the Amityville Horror kind of thing.
Dude, I love how Ocean Avenue ends with that acoustic kind of fade out.
Not my
And
idea.
then that definitive chord. That wasn't your idea?
No.
In the studio.
It's Jeremiah's idea. We were tracking drums and he was
It's
like...
good though, man.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The funny thing is like, it was his idea, but I took it the wrong way. So like, Josh was tracking drums and, we were just listening to scratch tracks. He's like, hey, on this fade out, you need to do something like acoustic guitar driven, and like it fades out into it kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be really cool. And I made a note in my phone. I just assumed he wanted me to go like full Dragon Force on it and like keep keep it going, which was really a pain to record. But when he was mixing, he was like, yeah, that's not what I was talking about, but it sounds pretty good anyway. He meant like to like slow down into the section and play the same kind of like chord progressions and have a melody over it. I'm like, oh man.
But have it not be like shred guitar, but you went for the shred guitar on acoustic.
It took me probably 45 minutes to record just that ending, man. Because it was just like 2 condensers and an acoustic and every single thing, let alone I have 4 kids, it's like, good take.
Yeah.
You hear it when you're going over it.
Acoustic guitar I've done some acoustic guitar sessions for people over the internet, and it's like some of the most brutal. I have to charge more. Like electric is easy because I can just go straight into my interface or whatever. But like when people are like, no, I want acoustic, I'm like, well, okay, now I gotta set up 3 mics, headphones. I gotta get a special chair that doesn't squeak. Dude,
I don't think I even picked up an acoustic in maybe 5 years before doing those tracks. So I had to like get my acoustic out, restring it, check the action
put some fresh
and everything.
Strings on.
But I'm like, oh yeah, man, I got this. I totally got this. So my wife always gets like, she doesn't get on to me, but she thinks it's funny. Like I'll be tracking and, she'll just hear curse words flying out of nowhere,
That take didn't go well.
That's a familiar thing around here as well.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately.
I tracked drums on the first album, and that's probably the most curse words I've ever said in my life was tracking those drums. So.
Yeah, because for that, I would imagine you're just doing it in one take, like the entire song.
Well, I didn't know any better back then, so yeah, I was definitely doing it in one take.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a seasoned drummer at all.
That'll make you a seasoned drummer. Yeah. Recording.
So luckily, Josh, he did the drum tracks. He did a phenomenal job. And I really couldn't be happier with the dudes we have in the band right now, playing stuff.
The new record sounds amazing, man. It's produced so well. I can like the guitar tone is some of my favorite guitar tones that I've heard on any metal record. It's very classic sounding. Obviously, that's kind of the thing you're going for, but I feel like you have a really professional sound, and you produce it yourself, right?
I do. I'll say it's about 90-10.
Okay.
The other 10%'s my wife.
Okay.
And I know that sounds funny, but a lot of the things these guys hear and they're like, man, I never heard that before. That sounds awesome. Like listening back, I'm like, yeah, that wasn't me. That wasn't my idea. So she comes up with a lot of really cool ideas.
What's your wife's name?
Kristen.
Kristen?
Yeah.
Shout out to Kristen.
Yeah.
Thank you. One thing I listen for on metal records, especially like self-produced or like local, people that I've had on the podcast, is like harsh frequencies. Like sometimes like it's hard to dial some of that stuff out with this more abrasive style of music. But your record just sounds so clean and crisp, and like it's fun to listen to. I was driving around today. I went to Rotary Park and listened to it just to kind of get it fresh in my mind, and I was just like, man, this is so enjoyable to listen to.
That's definitely a thing, and total props to Jeremiah Scott for that, because I started initially mixing that stuff, and I was like, I can't do this. I absolutely hate mixing my own stuff. It's like I'll never get it done. Yeah, I'll never get it done.
Did he mix and master it, or okay?
Yeah, he did both. We did it actually took us, and I want to say over a year. We did drum tracks, and I built on that. And then almost a year later to the day, we did the rest of the drum tracks, and I finished them in like a month that time. But, man, I can't even give Jeremiah props enough. He just does incredible work. He's got an awesome ear. He's an awesome dude, So yeah, anybody that wants to work with Jeremiah Scott Productions, look him up. Shoot him an email.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it truly is like a really enjoyable record to listen to. Like, this isn't my favorite style of metal, but as a guitar player, I just really fell in love with it, man.
Sure.
Like, just the leads, the harmonies, like the catchy like choruses. And I usually don't like catchy stuff because I'm like a contrarian asshole a lot of the time.
I feel that.
But like, I really enjoy these songs, man.
Well,
so
that's
yeah,
good for me.
people need to listen to this record. Running a bar is got to be one of the craziest things you could sign up to do. Like it just is.
It ain't
dude.
happening.
Yeah.
But
Or a venue, I'm not doing it, man. I can't do that.
Yeah.
John was trying to. John Duncan was putting out feelers. It seemed like when we shot that video.
We shot in a really cool warehouse for the last video, and he's like, "Yeah, you
like
turn
V
this."
Warehouse?
No,
different
no.
one. Okay.
Like it was probably a machine shop at one time, but it had been emptied out because they're trying to sell it or something.
But he was like, "Yeah, they're selling it. So you make a killer venue out of this." He's like, "You put stage here," and I'm thinking, "Yeah, bro, it ain't happening."
Good luck.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
What do you say? It was only 800,000,
Yeah,
something like that.
especially in Clarksville.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I think commercial real estate's probably insane, even here.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I think my wife has done some like legal work for Leo Milan. You've probably seen his like shopping centers all around. He's actually like a really like benevolent dude. He's a Christian dude. He's like a former gang member too. Like he was in like some kind of like Hispanic gang or something.
Yeah.
But he like turned his life around, devoted his life to Christ, and like he like has been very successful. And I think he's the one who owns the warehouse in Clarksville,
wow.
like the old venue. And I don't know if he has any plans to.
I just assumed they were going
turn
to
it
make
into a
parking
venue.
or something. Just level it, make a parking garage.
Yeah, I was going
or
to say, does that
something.
place just need to be torn down? Like,
Yeah.
just the
It's
condition
pretty
that it's
gross.
in?
It definitely
Yeah.
does, man. It's pretty rough, especially in the basement.
Yeah. That recording studio that
Doug's
was in the
lair.
basement. Yeah,
Whoa,
Doug's
you've been into the dungeon of the
belly
warehouse, bro.
dude.
What was that recording studio
Can we
called?
talk about that?
I forget.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. The dude that used to run it, his name
Blasting
was Payne.
Zone?
No, that was a different spot. I recorded with my very first band at Blasting Zone.
I'm trying to think of the
And it
name
was
of the
awful.
one
We're
in
getting
the
into some
warehouse.
Clarksville lore
Dude,
here.
it was awful. That sucked.
Dude, Jason Yates recorded with a guy, Nico Productions, for like I think it was like 5 tracks or something. And then he like rearranged their songs for them and like mastered it and was like, "What do you think?"
Oh, God.
Was
Like,
it sick?
Like, I think this is not what we recorded.
Dude, Blasting Zone used to be right across from where the Revel House is. They put all those apartments right there. It was like a little like shack. And it was a weird spot, but I was in like my first band. It was like a deathcore, metalcore kind of band. And I didn't know any better at the time. I was a vocalist, and all I did was inhale pig squeals. Dude, that turned out to be the shittiest recording ever. And like at the time, we're like 14, 15. We're like, this sounds cool. And then we get the CDs, and I'm like, this is awful. I'm never showing this to anybody.
My friends.
There's a place like 3 doors down from Revel that was a recording studio.
Great band. Sorry.
Yeah. 3 doors down, man.
3 doors
Three
down.
doors down from Revel.
Yeah, baby.
That was the first song I learned on guitar was If I Go Crazy. Then
Oh
you
yeah,
still
actually
call me
one of mine too.
Superman.
Yeah, definitely
That
one
B
of mine
minor
too.
thing. I was like, B minor so hard, dude.
I had this,
anybody, yeah.
I had this moment like as a man, I don't even know how old I was, 13, 14. And my dad really loved 3 Doors Down. They came out and, dad rock. Well, his brother plays drums and he came to town and like we had the drums set up in the basement and we played that song, and like even then I was thinking like, this is terrible. We are not doing good with this.
That song reminds me of like deployment videos and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
What about Godsmack with those old Marine commercials and stuff?
Oh,
They had like
yeah,
I
that's what I
Stand
mean, yeah.
Alone.
Did you
Oh,
know that
sick,
the
dude.
singer,
Yeah,
the
those are
singer
good.
from Godsmack is a drummer?
Sully.
Oh
Erna?
yeah.
And he's like a huge Rush fan.
Yeah.
He's like a prog drummer.
Yeah.
And he's insanely good.
He's also really good friends with Chris Angel too.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Anyways,
it seems like that's the same crowd.
There's this place
that
in
he hangs out with, dude.
it used to be called the Ice House, where the third Coup was. There was a
That's so
recording
sick.
studio in there, and I recorded in there one time with my band Assault. We were a thrash metal band when I was like 14.
That's a sick band name, though.
Yeah. And it sounded terrible. That was his fault, though.
Mm. Well, I want to get to Tommy. You're the
hear it,
guitar
Tommy.
player in Fuzzripper. Man, take us back to when you first picked up guitar. What made you want to play? What were your like bands that we were listening to?
I mean, it's embarrassing. So like I probably picked up guitar just before college, and so most of the tunes I was playing was probably on acoustic. You know, like Dave Matthews.
Oh no.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And, oh man, what was the other one?
Crash Into Me.
Well, like, no, I'm trying to think of like Banana. The guy sings Banana Pancakes.
Oh, Jack Johnson.
yeah, Jack Johnson tunes, and yeah, right, just to get some female attention.
Making banana
Yeah.
pancakes.
So I played acoustic for a long time, but I always loved metal, and it's just honestly I just never got a chance to play metal. I played in some weird bands. I played in a band that was like a kind of like a girl band with like some sisters that were in a band, and the dad kind of put it together as the bass player, and so we did a lot of like like female pop tunes that were contemporary stuff like Kelly Clarkson and but yeah, so we played that, but that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I kind of played like, I had a telly for a long time, and that's the kind of stuff I played was kind of like country pop ish stuff, a little twangy. But then we were on deployment together, ran into Dusty, and then he invited me to play in Fuzzripper, and so I really got a chance to live out my dreams as a because this is the kind of stuff I love. This like well, he probably considers it a little bit different, but I think of it as a little bit like a throwback to the new album kind of stuff. I'm really into
New wave of British heavy
Oh,
metal.
yeah,
for
New
the
Album.
uninitiated.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uninitiated.
Yep.
But yeah, like our Priest. I know we both geek out over Judas Priest. I love Motorhead.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and so this is a lot of fun. This band for me to.
We
play this
always
kind of
send
stuff.
each other like really obscure like 80s,
Oh,
bands that they're still out there. Like you find them, and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah,
where did these guys-
Anvil.
Yeah.
Anvil came.
Oh, dude,
and I
have you seen the
missed it.
Anvil documentary?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
it's
saw that.
But
iconic.
yeah, they came like the night after we played our show.
Really?
This last one, I just didn't get out. But
What is that? They have a song called Heavy Metal, or it's like
metal on metal.
yeah, metal on metal, dude. Yeah.
And it's probably got like a anvil,
They
like,
recorded an
the
anvil.
old Tommy
literally.
Lee hitting the anvil.
Are they Canadian? I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Metal on metal.
Yeah.
Dude,
Dude,
sick.
they're awesome. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Did you like when you were younger, like getting into guitar? Did you have like a rigorous practice routine, or did you just think about it more from like I'm playing for fun? Or
I'm bad about mostly what I do is I just put on stuff and I just jam along. I'll just solo along with it. That's what I do a lot.
learning tunes.
And I'm still guilty of that. Like, when I should be practicing, I'm just like, let me put on some YouTube videos and just
Yeah.
Just vibe.
Like, so you like the backing tracks and jamming to I do a lot of that
Yeah,
too.
just
That's
like
good though.
improvise over somebody else's song. Yeah.
So what's your main axe in Fuzzripper? Main guitar.
I'm super happy with this LTD. I mean, I wish it was an ESP, right? Don't we all? But LTD, they make a Les Paul special kind of clone.
Is that 201?
EC-01 FT.
Gotcha.
I want to say it's
Ooh.
a real catchy name, right? And
Those Japanese companies, man, they name those
not
guitars.
Ibanez land.
but yeah, it's like a if somebody took a Les Paul special and made it kind of a little more aggressive. Yeah.
Cool, man.
Better,
Stripped down,
better
bare
neck.
bones. Yeah, it's just one pickup, one knob. That's all I need.
So let's just dive right into the guitar nerd city, if that's cool. So,
Dude.
what do you plug into?
So we're running our fractals. That's
Okay.
Dusty I bought one first, I want to say, and of course Dusty became like the master of it.
Which one did you get?
Back. We bought. Oh yeah, so I had like man, did I buy the? Yeah, I think I bought a used like AxeFX Ultra, the first AxeFX I had.
Oh, I thought you had like the Axe 8 or something. It's not even that. It's something else.
It was. I think that was the first thing I got.
Okay.
I really do. I think that was the first thing we got, even before we got the FM3s.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, the FM3 was like, man, this is better, newer, smaller. And so I remember buying that and bringing it to practice and thinking I was, the coolest guy on the block.
Yeah.
And then Dusty grabs one and, yeah, he immediately, like, figures out all the tricks and all the good, he's like, because he's got a lot more patience for going through amp after amp after amp
Changing
after amp.
capacitors and tubes.
You're right. So, yeah.
Oh my
so
God, dude.
I think right now, I don't know if
I
we're
love
supposed
it.
to reveal the secret sauce, but we run like the fractal models. Like we're not even running like the, like Fractal has like clones of stuff, obviously. And that's, well, it's a lot of fun to be like, oh, look at me. I'm playing through that Soldano that I can't afford. But, but yeah, no, right now we're using the FAS Modern, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically like a dual rectifier, but it's got it's kind of like got more high mids in it, so it's got more clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say, I think we're just boosting it with a plain Jane TS.
I think I run TS 9.
Is it
I'd have
TS
to look.
9?
I'd have to
One
look.
of those. But yeah, I really dig it because, I mean, man, dual rectifiers, every one of them sounds different. It seems like that I've played throughout the years.
Didn't they make like 1 billion of those too?
Yeah.
And the trick with those, if anybody's listening, if you want to play metal, you have to keep your master volume pretty low. If you get over like 2, it starts like flubbing out.
Dude. Yeah.
Dom knows that story probably. He bought one and was like, "This thing sucks."
Yeah, I've had like 2 or 3 triple rectifiers. I always like go back to them and I'm like, these fucking suck, dude. Like they
The low end's just boomy as crap.
Yeah, they're really you
I
have
like
to really
low-end,
spend
but-
time on it. It
Yeah.
seems like
But
know.
when I
I
was
think
running
every
it,
Mesa amp is like that.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say as
the
a
Mark
previous
series,
owner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even worse, the Mark series. Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to really dial it in.
I got rid of mine.
But yeah,
All of them.
master it too. Low, you got to keep the low down and you got to boost it. You got to use something to lump off that low end.
The thing
man.
with Mesa Boogie is like, why make it so that the low frequency has to be at 1 or off? Like Petrucci has his off, and then he boosts it with the EQ, with the graphic EQ, and I'm like, why design a circuit that responds like that?
The fractal is basically what they think it should have been made like, the way that Fractal made their FAS Modern. So it's not boomy. It's got enough low end, but it's not like, kind of. You can boost the master volume and get like a power tube push out of it without it getting flubby.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've played some dual rectifiers where like you couldn't even get the low past like 3, or else you were like going to blow the roof off the house, you know. But then I've played some that like they barely had any low end, probably bad tubes, but power tubes or something.
There's a certain one that is like really sought after.
The Rev G.
Rev G.
The Rev G. Okay. Yeah, you guys, of course you know.
The Rev Fs too. I think people like those as well.
Jeremiah.
It's the 2-channel dual rec, right?
Yeah,
Not the 3
Yeah,
channel
yeah.
that people like.
Jeremiah has a dual channel triple rectifier like OG, and it's even got the top hat knobs before they started making the knobs where you can't even see what you're on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Knurled metal.
And I tracked in a pop punk band with that back in the day a few times, and that thing sounded killer. Not like the rectifiers of today, that's for sure. Because the the rectifier was originally a SLO copy.
Yeah.
Right.
And
exactly.
and then alt music came in and new metal or whatever, mostly, alternative grunge, and they were like, oh shit, we got to do something. Hair metal stuff's fading out quick.
Yeah.
So they did some tweaks, and
right.
Have
you guys looked into that being a conspiracy theory, like that the record labels conspired with each other to start grunge.
Yep.
And because it was, I guess like what I understand is that they wanted to make something that was more, I guess, like dark and get more male audiences involved in rock music, because like the hair metal guys appealed to the women.
Yeah, definitely.
And I guess the thought there
Besides
is like,
Dio.
yeah, dude, yeah, iconic. Yeah, that's
all
some,
dudes.
yeah, exactly, dude. But the thought is like, okay, like if you attract women audiences, the men will follow.
Yeah.
But they wanted to like turn that on its head, I guess, and make something that was really kind of ominous and dark, and like, so they gave, you know, Kurt Cobain, you know, like basically like the red carpet, you know, roll it out for this guy. And I think even Kurt Cobain himself, I mean, he ended up killing himself, supposedly.
He hated it.
But I think he didn't like being their puppet, you know. So it's an interesting thing to look into. I'm not here to tell anybody definitively historically what happened, but that's just something I've heard. But what have you guys? What's your understanding about that whole thing?
Man, I really don't know as far as why it happened. I know a lot of bands in documentaries have, you know, obviously they say that it killed heavy metal, which it did to an extent, besides Pantera.
Yeah.
Pantera had no issues.
But what's funny is all these grunge bands were in hair metal and heavy metal bands
we
literally a couple years before.
Yeah, we always talk about how the old Pantera albums are actually
they're glam metal.
Good, yeah.
They were actually a hair metal band before they were Pantera.
Diamond Daryl.
Diamond Daryl.
Yeah.
There was an album called Power Metal.
Power Metal?
With
Yeah.
first Phil Anselmo record.
Like Metal Magic or something.
Yeah.
He's doing like Ripper Owens type vocals, dude. Like,
and nailing it too.
yeah.
You know, I get why they went to the Cowboys from Hell like sound, because the shift in the music, and it's more like where they came from and had that kind of southern kind of
it's very outlaw, southern outlaw. If it's like it's almost country, you know.
Exactly.
Country music vibes.
But they need to put that old stuff back on Spotify.
Yeah, they for some reason they won't release it, like the 80s stuff. I mean, there's so many people who would listen. They would, because I listen to it on YouTube a lot. But I think like I'll say I'm a Nirvana fan. I think there's some awesome songs. I think I'd be more of a fan if he didn't kill himself and we had more albums, because I'm the kind of guy, if I only got 2 albums to listen to, I'm gonna get burnt out, 3 albums, whatever. But man, I
King's X is, if you like Nirvana and you want to hear some music that's not going to make you feel like crap after you listen to it, listen to any of the 17 King's X albums. Like,
killer albums, killer tones.
I've got this is a Dogman shirt. This is probably their most well-known, well-received record.
But I think Nirvana's here and Alice in Chains is about right here for me. And I don't know if that has to do with my metal background, maybe because Alice in Chains, they were billed as metal. There's actually a story where I want to say it was Death Angel was supposed to be part of this big tour with Megadeth, Slayer, might have been Anthrax, and then Death Angel was going to open, and something happened, and there's like some big conspiracy theory with that too. Not maybe conspiracy theory, but fall off, something like a sickness or something, and they think that's why they Death Angel isn't as big as
they didn't get on that tour.
Exactly. But anyways, they were like, hey, we got this band Alice in Chains, they can do it. And they're like, yeah, we don't have any time, sure. Well, they did the tour, and that's when it changed everything.
Oh, people like really liked Alice in Chains on that tour, and they're like, what's this fast thrash metal crap?
But and then Metallica, Megadeth, they started writing their albums that sounded more like Alice in Chains than what they were writing before.
Oh, that's crazy. That makes perfect sense, man.
And they were kind of like the ones that and of course they all worship Jerry Cantrell. They have nothing bad to say about him, you know. But they changed everything. Like Nirvana changed everything. We know that.
Right.
But in the metal world, Alice in Chains really changed everything. And I still like them. I dig their sound. I'd rather listen to them than Nirvana, you know. I like Pearl Jam too.
Dude, this is just kind of a side note, but there's like Gen Z kids that think Nirvana is a clothing brand.
I
believe it.
Probably like Sublime
It's awful.
too.
Yeah, Sublime. It's like because they can get it at Target or whatever. I just thought that, like, I had one of my guitar students who loves metal and loves, like, he's really into grunge. This kid's going through a deep grunge phase, but he was telling me that this girl at school told him that her Nirvana shirt was just a clothing brand or something. I was like, that's
awesome.
crazy, dude.
That's awful.
It's just funny.
I really dig the Foo Fighters, especially their early stuff.
Color and the Shape was a great
Oh my
record
gosh,
for me.
that's dual rectifier tones all day. Maybe dual and triple rectifier.
I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought Marshall, but
It's the vintage orange channel. Yeah. So it does have that kind of Marshall-ish kind of flavor, but
I love that Probot album that Dave
oh
Grohl
yeah,
did. That's
very cool.
talking about Dave Grohl doing metal. That's a
Speaking
great
of
album.
Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters, they canned their drummer.
I was actually going to ask you guys if you heard about that. So Josh Freese has drummed for them for the last, since Taylor Hawkins died.
Incredible
And
drummer.
he's like top tier.
Yeah.
But he has not been asked. He basically got canned, you know, like you said.
It's got to be it's a personality thing, or they can't write songs together.
Yeah.
Like Dave saying, like, this is what the drums part's supposed to be. Oh, cool. And then he does his own thing.
When your boss is Dave Grohl, who's also a drummer and also like just a fierce, like hard-hitting drummer. It could be because some like really schooled drummers that have played on tons of records, they hit the drum in such like I want to say like a scientific kind of trained way that it's almost not rock and roll.
Yeah.
But like Chad Wackerman, for example, or even Brooks Wackerman would be like examples of that, where they play so well that it's like it's almost not rock or metal anymore. So I'm wondering if that's kind of the case with Josh Freese.
Maybe it's not. It's just too good.
Didn't he play for a Perfect Circle too?
Yeah,
Josh Freese.
Oh man, he filled in for a couple bands. I'm trying to remember who the other ones were.
Or he was on like a Nine Inch Nails tour too.
Yeah, no, I think that's correct. Yeah.
But I went back and watched. They did like a pre-tour warm-up gig, and they recorded it, and he just did amazing. This was like 2 years ago, but I watched it yesterday, and I was like, yeah, it's got to be a conflict of personality.
Yeah.
Or they can't write together.
Right.
Because Dave Grohl's, I mean, he canned their first drummer because the songs weren't cutting it. That's why he did the drums on Color and the Shape.
Mm.
And then he canned one of the guitar players.
I think that dude was from Sunny Day Real Estate.
The first guy, the drummer.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what it was.
And this guitar player was from his punk band back in the day. I cannot remember his name. Franz. Anyways, they did like 2 years of touring. Everything was great. And then they went in to make an album, and it wasn't working. So
Yeah.
it's like a real emotional thing. He's got an interview about him just saying, he got a phone call.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what happened.
Right.
He said that 2 years, and I got a phone call.
Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, I've heard people speculate that Taylor Hawkins' son is actually going to drum.
That's the
We'll
other
see if
thing
that
I
happens.
looked up last night. And
Yeah.
that dude has gotten so good, insanely good. And
Yeah.
he's got that raw, just like his dad. Like it's almost like it's garage sounding, but it's put together.
I think that will probably happen because then you bring a whole crowd of young people that are like, whoa, that guy's like my age.
Yeah.
And he's playing in the biggest rock band. I mean, let's be honest, like for a long time, U2 was like the biggest rock band in the world.
Yeah.
And I think now it's Foo Fighters and has been for the last like 10, 15 years.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'm telling you, this kid is like, when I saw him play his dad's memorial, I was like, yeah, he's a good drummer. I went and saw some stuff last night, and I'm like, this kid could be one of the best rock drummers to ever live. Like,
Yeah.
if he keeps playing, he's
Yeah.
like 18 years old. Like, you know, I'm like, holy crap.
Dude, yeah. I haven't seen any recent stuff, but I think that's great. I to be honest, I'm not the biggest Foo Fighters fan. Not that it matters. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I like some of their older records, but I was really disappointed with the Dave Grohl like thing where he like got someone pregnant out of I don't know. I guess
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't see that. I didn't read too far into that.
Yeah.
that's
What
pretty
was
wild.
that story?
He like cheated on his wife, got some chick pregnant, and then I guess confessed to his family. I don't know exactly what happened,
man,
but
I remember seeing that at work, and then I just never followed up on it. Like,
I just like I have a problem with him not only because of that, but I just feel like his advice to like, you know, they're like, Dave, what would you tell like an up and coming rock, you know, band to do? And you'd be like, I'd tell them to just play every garage, every venue you possibly could, and you just like, I just feel like his advice to up and coming bands or even bands like you guys and stuff is just totally irrelevant and out of touch, man.
yeah,
like
it is.
yeah,
like-
you could play like a million shows, and there could be nobody at every show. It's like you could play at every
Yeah.
venue. You
You
got to
could-
get on the right thing nowadays. It's like you have to like hit the nail. Like,
there's
just
so many
right.
different factors that you have to have like
Social media is king. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you could play a show to 15 people and then, you know, put out a video for 10,000 people.
Yeah,
You know,
just because the right
No, you
person
could have
recorded
one-
it on their cell phone.
No,
Yeah.
it's you could have one viral video,
Yeah.
and that now your phone's blowing up,
yeah,
and people are asking, you know, Fuzzripper, can you guys jump on this tour?
Yeah.
Like it's
Oh,
coming
yeah.
up in
Yeah.
a couple months. Like we want you to open for so and so, or you know, it could just be one viral video that is your entrance to getting in a on a
Yeah.
bus,
Which is
and
bittersweet
actually getting
because
paid. You know,
I
getting paid
love
well.
playing the shows. That's what I love doing, the shows. I'm not so good at the social media thing. It's something I have to work on. But I love playing the shows. But nobody likes playing to 10 people. I mean, but it happens, and it'll happen again.
I just, man, I think your music is so solid. I was a little disappointed to see how few monthly listeners
oh yeah,
you guys have. Not to like freaking
no,
beat you up about
definitely,
it,
Yeah.
we know.
but
Yeah.
but I'm just like, man, like let's get some more. Like, how do we fix that? Is it playing shows, or like how would you go about
So
boosting that?
I think the next thing, I was just telling them something I'd like to do. Like, you know, I've got 4 kids, and whenever I'm doing things with them or for them, I'm thinking in my head, or if I'm at work, I'm thinking in my head. And lately I've been asking myself, what would you want a band to tell you? What would you want to know about a band that maybe bands don't just, you know, tell you,
Mhm.
you know? And, you know, one of them is like, you know, it could be like geeking out. It could be like, well, you know, on Poltergeist, you know, this is how I set up the amp. This is how I wanted this guitar sound. You know, this is what the song's about. Hey, this lyric, this line, it may not be obvious, but it's from the movie, but it's put in a different way.
Mhm.
You know, stuff like that. I constantly try to ask myself, what would I want to see that I don't see from a
Yeah.
band? Because I can't fake it. I did that in the army. Ruined me. I can't have false motivation. If I'm gonna like sit down and make a video, and it has to be something that hits home, kind of something where I feel like you're doing this with a purpose.
I
you
run
know?
into that too. Like, and I think for me, like when I'm on camera and when I'm doing my YouTube videos, I'm very like kind of matter of fact, and like there's I don't know, I guess like I'm presenting more professional side of myself, but I have friends tell me like I'm one of the funniest guys that they've ever hung out with, you know.
Yeah.
And I know we haven't hung out a ton, but like the stuff I say off camera when I'm just hanging with my friends is like
Yeah.
it's wild, right? So learning to kind of share like that side of yourself, I think can help. That's something that I'm working on. But like, do you guys know who Taylor Pace is?
Sounds familiar.
He was the first guest on this show, and he plays in a progressive deathcore band called Dissonation. They're incredible.
Yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
He had like a couple thousand followers on Instagram like a few months ago. He now has like 40,000.
Oh wow.
And all he's done is like basically package his content for that platform. And the thing you got to understand is people have very short attention spans, and they've got 15 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And within that amount of time, he's giving them something like funny to laugh at. He's basically like opening the door and saying like, hey, come inside and hang out in here. It's actually really fun.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to be honest, I'm terrible at that. I want to be like, I want to give you the meat and potatoes. Here's this scale over this chord. It sounds insane. But to most people, they're like, I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear that particular guitar thing.
I'm the guy that would watch the 15-20 minute video on the the scale or the tone or the rig,
and there are people like that,
but not a lot.
But I think there's like a side of there's a creative side of yourself that maybe you're not sharing with your audience that I think more people would connect with, and that's for every one of you guys. So just that's where my brain has been thinking. And like I happened to see Taylor at this show last night, and we were kind of talking about this stuff. So that would be my encouragement, and I think what you were just talking about, like with like the Poltergeist song, for example, I think that would be a great way to get people into your music and understanding that song, because that song really is it's a great song, man. Like it makes me want to like go to a roller rink or something and freaking go around in circles, like it just does. Like
there used to be one up the road.
Yep. Back in the day.
Well, what about you, Dom? Let's talk about your kind of musical background. And I know you've talked about the Clarksville metal scene and the music scene and like how it used to be and how there's not really much of a scene in Clarksville. Like, walk us through that, man.
Go ahead, Dom.
I started playing when I was like 10. I want to say I really took an interest to like guitars, because I've always been into music ever since I was like a really little kid, and sucked at guitar. So I was like, I'm going to try drums. Sucked at drums. So stopped touching those. And then I got my first band. I was in this like metalcore, deathcore band called Drown the City. We were awful. Worst band ever.
Is that the one where you did the vocals?
Yeah.
Inhales?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It was awful. But we played some shows and stuff, and that was really cool. I always knew like I wanted to do like music. I wanted that to be my career. Like somehow, some way, some shape or form. And started going to shows when I was like 13 at this venue we had called the Coup, which was the sickest venue we had, man.
The Coup?
Yes, that place was awesome. Like you walk in, the front doors, it was on Crossland Avenue. It's mid-10 alarms now, but you walked in the front doors and they had like a seating area and stuff, and you could get like some really good ass vegan food and stuff in there.
Wow.
You go down into the basement and they had like a little quarter pipe, and then it was like super dingy, but like we had so many cool bands come through. Like a Legion came through. I Wrestled a Bear once. Triumph Over Shipwreck. Dr. Acula came through a bunch. There was a like crazy amount of like really great bands that came through. Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza.
Heck yeah.
That was rad. There's a band called Guide from Murfreesboro that I saw play at some random punk show, and they set up on the floor in front of the stage, and like I was standing on top of the little quarter pipe and just watching people go from side to side, and they like knocked all the drummer's shit over, and he's just like sitting there blast beating still. I was like, this is awesome. Yeah, it was great.
Sick.
Dude. Yeah, it ruled. And then the Coup, they moved, started doing like more indie stuff, and moved again, and then they called it quits. And then we had the Warehouse for a while, but I hated the Warehouse.
Didn't Black Label Society play there and stuff like that?
O'Connor's.
I think O'Connor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
These dudes in this band, Conan, they're from the UK. They're a fantastic band.
Yeah.
They were on tour with them.
Incredible.
Yeah, dude.
I'm a fan.
Dude, yeah. They were on tour with them on that tour, and hit up John, their guitarist and vocalist, and I was like, hey man, are you gonna be at that show? Are you guys playing? He was like, no, it's an off day for us. We'll probably be in Nashville. I was like, damn it. I was
yeah, I was just say I don't remember them playing that show.
And they were
No.
supposed to play with Black Label at
Yeah.
O'Connor's.
What is
they
it
were
like,
on that tour.
Which that's like an Irish pub like off of the
Yeah.
highway.
Yeah,
and
off
it's-
Exit
some
that's
One.
now
cornhole.
closed, right?
Yeah.
Is it open?
It's
back up?
open again.
Yeah.
Is it
Oh,
open
is
again?
It was closed, but yeah.
Oh,
it's
But
open
it was a
back up.
big deal when it closed because that it was like kind of a staple.
Yeah.
Like in,
Yeah.
in Clarksville, right?
Yeah.
So,
And then Bucky's shut it down. They're like, we're gonna buy you out. Then they're like, we need you to do this with the roads, and the city's like, we can't do it. They're like, we're out.
Gonna
Yep.
move one
And
exit
then
down.
O'Connor's opened again.
No.
Right, how do you guys feel about the Buc-ee's thing? Would you want a Buc-ee's here?
Absolutely.
I live right there, so no.
Yeah, it would have never
Yeah,
worked.
I would have
Yeah,
loved
exit
it.
one.
I would love to have a Bucky's, but not right where
I-
yeah,
I
we're
I
supposed to
wouldn't-
get one just
Yeah.
the next
yeah,
exit
it's like
down.
a mile
Grove.
from where I live.
Yeah, put it like between, like put
Exit
it into
89.
Kentucky. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's what they're
Put,
wanting.
put it
to do.
down. Yeah.
Back a road.
Let them
I think.
Kentuckians
Yeah.
deal with it.
Sure.
Hey, I'm for
They
it
would
though.
love it too.
A
Yeah.
Buc-ee's, if you're in a touring band, like a Buc-ee's is like a safe haven. It's like
Dude.
it's like the oasis on the
best.
concrete
Oh,
like
bro,
trail.
man. I got
Dude.
a good quick story for you. So I don't remember if we were on tour. We were going through the mountains somewhere back in the day, and we stopped at this truck stop because like my eye was hurting. And I'm like, what the heck's up with my eye? And I'm trying to figure it out for hours while we're driving. And I didn't know, like, I guess this like driver dude was following me around in the truck stop. And I went to the bathroom and I pulled this like freaking like 12-inch hair out of it's one of my hairs out of my eyeball.
Shut up, dude.
And it kept coming. And I saw him walk in and I turned around and he was like standing there like he was about to like mount me. And then our
Whoa.
bass player Benton like kicked in the door and it like scared him and he ran away. And Benton was like, I've been watching that dude follow you for like 10 minutes.
in a Buc-ee's
No, truck stop. I wish it was a Bucky's. But
at a truck stop.
like my eye was so messed up, I didn't even pay attention to this guy. But yeah, dude, I pulled
Hey, little
like
boy,
a
you're
hair
kinda
out of my
cute.
eye. Yeah.
Get over here. I haven't
Yeah.
seen anything as pretty as you in a long time.
Better than all them lot lizards.
Dude, when I delivered pizza, to this old guy a few times. His name was Mr. Baxter. And
Oh my gosh, dude.
he came up to the pizza place to pick up a pizza one time. And he was like, are you a girl or a guy? I was like, a guy. And he goes, damn it. And he walks out with his pizza.
Did you have like scene hair at the
Oh,
time or
yeah.
something?
Yeah,
you gotta see
yeah.
old photos. of
Yeah,
that.
long scene hair. Yeah, I was just like, I was
How
like,
much did you
a
weigh?
guy,
Dang, bro.
I probably weighed 130 pounds or less. But he was just like, damn it. And he got his pizza and walked out. I'm like, what does that mean? So like when I delivered pizza to him after that, he assumed like that I was like homosexual.
Oh god.
And
man.
he'd like try to like show me these old stag like pictures he took of black and white. And I'm like, dude, I'm good, man. Like,
Dude, there are some creepy. Get your head on a swivel, people. Like there's
Oh,
there's
yeah,
some
for
real
sure.
strangers out there.
yeah.
Dude, yeah.
Dude, and one time I walked into his garage delivering his pizza, and he was watching the Dick Van Dyke show, and I was like,
Is that a gay show?
no. But he was like, I was like, yeah, Dick Van Dyke. He's like, what do you say about dicks, boy? I was like, no, it's the Dick Van Dyke show. He's like, oh, okay.
We could talk about them together.
And he
Gosh,
always
man.
had a different older lady in there with him.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, what is up with this guy,
Casanova.
Mr. Baxter?
Weird
Yikes,
guy.
dude. That's
Treating him to pizza and
And when he gave me his tip,
Yeah.
he used to always say, the tip, he'd say, put this in your other purse. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? What does that mean?
dude.
I don't think I want to know.
oh, you know.
Oh God.
God rest his
man.
soul.
We're all being groomed in one way or another, I guess. Well, what do you think happened to the Clarksville scene, man?
I don't know, man. I think the new generation of kids that were coming up wanting to play music, they just gravitated to the more indie stuff.
Because I feel like the acoustic guitar scene is huge here. Like,
Yeah.
singer-songwriter stuff
Yeah.
is massive in
That's-
Clarksville, dude.
It's crazy though, because it's
Yeah,
proximity
the
to
college, yeah.
yeah,
Damn
it's like
hippies.
when I was like a teenager, like deathcore and stuff was like dying out, and I'm like, dude, like this is so good, like we need more of this, like, and then
Need more breakdowns.
yeah, dude, like Bring Me the Horizon released Sempiternal, which it's a good album, but like after that, I don't listen to anything past that album.
I think that we got such a heavy dose of good things that we got complacent.
Yeah,
Like,
I can see that.
We got a heavy dose of really good like metal and metalcore,
Mm-hmm.
and also pop punk was at its height.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
there was. I mean, and those songs are fun, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like that scene was so fun.
And it's like when that wore off, it's like, what are we gonna do now?
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing. Like, yeah, and it's like looking back, there were so many great bands that like never made it. Like,
Mhm.
I'm sure you were on bands with like you toured with, and like, what happened to those guys? They were phenomenal. Out of
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, there's a band. I bought this Earache Records it was like
Compilation?
yeah. Well, it wasn't a compilation. It was like 3 different CDs from 3 different bands. It was like in
okay.
one package when we had Hastings. I was
Oh,
like
yeah.
15, I think, and it had
Clarksville had a Hastings Entertainment.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Sick, man.
we
Yeah.
loved
It was the
it, dude.
best.
I used
It
to
was
work
amazing.
at the. I lived in Kansas at the time,
oh, yeah.
but I worked at the. Is it the Hardback Cafe or the?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they had a little coffee shop in there. I used to.
Ours,
Yeah, yeah.
ours didn't have a
Yeah.
coffee shop.
No.
Okay.
But
Yeah, dude, I bought that CD, and it was like an Annotations of an Autopsy album, an Oceano album, and this other band, And Hell Followed With. It was their first album, Proprioception. And I still listen to that album,
Some
like,
heavy
religiously,
stuff,
dude. And that band, like, they disappeared, and I think, like, 2 years ago, maybe last year, they released, like, a single, I think, and then I haven't heard anything else. I'm like, dude, like, just come
So,
back.
Hastings, my album I found at Hastings was I just got it because the cover was decapitated. What was it called? Inhility, or how do you say it?
Nihility.
Nihility. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that. I'm like, man, that's a sick looking cover, and immediately was hooked. Off
Dude.
the first.
Decapitated is
Oh
incredible.
my god! I'm like,
The Negation
whoa.
was the record for me that I.
Oh, it's a killer
There are other
album,
ones
too,
around
yeah.
that. The first 4 from Decapitated, which are all Earache records,
Yeah.
are iconic. But for me, the Negation with the Fury, I actually cover that on my channel.
Oh,
I think,
it's a killer album.
very
man.
low views, but that's one of the hardest death metal songs I've ever freaking had to try to learn.
I miss those compilations back in the day,
Dude,
though,
yeah.
man. Like, I had this, and I don't even remember what it was. And I used to listen to it delivering pizza, hanging out with Mr. Baxter. But,
Shout out, Mr. Baxter,
shout
dude.
out, bro. But it was just half the bands I didn't even know who they were because
Yeah.
you lose the
But you still
Yeah.
need, like, the
CD
lyrics
cover,
or-
and you
yeah.
got the CD, and you're like,
Yeah,
man, I
dude.
really love this band, but I don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
Soilwork was one of the bands on there, and I really dug it. But yeah, I miss those years of compilations and
Dude, yeah. They were so good too, because like I remember being a kid and like just finding one of them, like Victory Records. I know that. Like
Yeah.
I buy it and like all these bands on there, and I'm like, holy shit, like this is great. Like I found so many bands through like compilations,
yeah.
and it's just like, oh, God, like I don't know. I feel like bring the heavy scene back though. That'd be great. I'd love that. I'm not sure how many other people would, but I would. That's for sure. Need more death metal, more tech
Bro,
death,
I think
deathcore.
I want to say, did Cannibal Corpse play the Warehouse?
Yes, I was at that show with Cattle Decapitation. That was the shit.
Yeah, that's probably the
It was
biggest
awesome.
show I've ever.
I mean, now Cannibal Corpse plays Nashville at Marathon and they pack it out.
Exactly.
It's incredible, man.
Yeah.
That
How-
show was not sold out, and I was so disappointed that it wasn't. I was like, oh my God.
It's Cannibal Corpse.
Yo,
Like,
I
they're
guess
legends.
Sebastian Bach from Skid Row
He
played
did.
the Warehouse. Jason Yates, owner of Wicked Good Sandwiches, he looks just like Trent Reznor. And I guess like he pointed him out, was like, "Oh, dude, Trent Reznor's here."
That's incredible. Sebastian Bach said that? Yeah, dude. Dude, I want to hang with Sebastian Bach, man.
Oh my god, I don't know if I can.
Some of my favorite episodes of the Trailer Park
Dude,
Boys
that's-
is with Sebastian Bach.
I feel like I could hang out with him now, not like back in the
No,
day. I
no.
feel like I would die. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You could- yeah. He's.
Now
100
I
miles an
know
hour.
he used
you
to
guys
be such
just
a
like
good-looking
trains.
dude,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
He was his episode of What's in My Bag is great
Oh, it is.
because
yeah.
he's a big record nerd. Like
Yeah. Have you seen
looking at
those?
the
It's
run
called
out
What's in
matrix.
My
Yeah,
Bag.
let's get
Yeah.
his glasses out so you can be like, let me see who there's
which
two
print is
versions
this?
of it. Yeah. Anyway, who
That's
mastered
cool.
this?
So, Dom, I've been out running on the Clarksville
Dom,
Greenway a few times, and I ran into you. You actually were like, "Are you Drew Creel?" I was like, yeah, like I was like, no, I'm nobody, you know. So I was like, what's this? Who's this guy? And you were telling me that you like saw my YouTube channel or something like that. So that was cool, man.
Yeah.
And we kind of vibed over some music. But first of all, I think it's cool that you work there. But like, can you share some stories? Like, how do you like working there?
Dude,
like,
I love it.
It's hard work, right?
I mean, yeah. It's physical work. You're outside every day, so that's nice. You're always doing something different. I like taking care of the Greenway because it's like, I don't know, it's nice for the community. Like, we built that natural play area, me and my buddy Rob, where we were like lowest rung out of the whole crew, like maintenance ones. And we built that whole thing ourselves, pieced it all together and stuff, and get to drive by it and see kids playing on it. It's awesome.
It's a cool addition to the trail.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. We have a huge bobcat now, so you might want to watch out for that.
Oh wow, like a real bobcat.
Yeah. No, this dude showed us a picture on the trail last week or the week before, and the bobcat was like laying. It was probably like 50 feet from him, but the back end of it was like on the edge of the trail, and it went like halfway.
So it's a big cat.
It's a big ass cat.
Whoa, dude.
So yeah, if you're running that far end, just be wary of that. Cause,
the far end is where I'm always over there, man.
Yeah, dude. So
there's a trail that kind of like, there's a very obvious like footpath that goes off of the paved path, and it says like no hiking.
Yeah.
What is that?
So we have like a 3-foot or might be 6-foot easement on each side of the trail. That's all private property.
Oh, okay.
Like people own the land still, and there's a guy that comes through there and he like hunts all the time and stuff. And he's always asking us to like make sure people don't go on their property.
So that just happens to be private property.
Yeah.
But there is like, it's like a Tim Ford bike trail, right?
There is a bike trail.
Mountain bike.
Yeah. So there is a biking trail. If you're right before you get to that like really scenic part with all the kudzu and stuff.
Yeah, the kudzu forest. Yeah. It's
right.
Majestic.
Right before there, if you look, there's like we used to have signs that said like no B-cycles when we had the bicycles there. But that's a biking trail that goes back in there, and like when you look down the hill and stuff, it goes back in there as well.
Okay, yeah, it never made any sense to me because I was like, why no bicycles? It's a bicycle trail.
It's for the Parks and Rec bikes we had.
Okay.
Because they didn't want them getting screwed up and stuff. But yeah, I haven't been back there in forever. I think
because you used to have these like little rent-a-cycles.
Yeah.
And you guys discontinued that.
Yeah.
What
Apparently,
happened to that, man?
parts were getting hard to order. They were too expensive or something. So they were like,
I like missed
too
the
much.
mark. Like by the time I tried to use the bikes, they were all broke.
Yeah. People would like trash those things, dude.
Yeah, that sucks.
Like we had to
man.
go look for one like a couple summers ago, and they're like, because they had trackers on them, but they weren't like approximate locations. They're like, they could be in this 20-mile radius or some
I like
shit.
hung it up in a tree.
Yeah, we were like going down the Greenway, like walking into the private property.
Parks and Recs employees.
Yeah, we never found it. Yeah,
You end up you step on a net. It grabs you, pulls you up into the air.
Get you like Rambo traps.
It's got like some Black Sabbath albums in the net. You're like, oh wow.
Whoa, who leaves these here, man?
That's gonna be the next Fuzzripper music video. That's gonna be awesome.
Anyways, the bikes, yeah.
Yeah, the bikes. That was cool for a bit, but people just trashed them. So
It's
one
one of my
it is what it
favorite
is.
places to go, like in town. Unfortunately, it's like 23 minutes from my house, and so I can go to Rotary. I honestly don't like. Sorry, I don't like Rotary Park.
Fair enough.
It's more of a. If I had kids, I would probably love it.
Yeah.
I don't have kids yet, so
It's I liked it better before they made it better.
Yeah.
It was better when it was worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. For adults, yeah.
It's a bit of a drive, but Beeman State Park is a great.
Beeman, I'll have
it's
to
great,
give that a
like,
shot.
Yeah, the Laurel Woods Trail at
Oh.
Beeman State Park.
Also, be
there's,
wary of Rotary too, because of that sheriff. His brother got caught a couple
man.
summers ago, jacking it in his car, and yeah.
Okay,
So that's why they
Yeah.
took the booking log down. We used to have the booking log where you can see people get arrested, their mugshots and shit. They took it down because of that. I mean, they publicly didn't say that, but obviously that's why they took it down.
They should have just took Rotary Park down. Made it worse again.
I mean, the woods in my backyard, I'm sure, like lead into Rotary at some point, but like. There's some of our neighbors have built their own trails. My dog actually made his trail. I play fetch with him, and he runs so many times.
Oh, yeah.
down there that he made his own trail.
Hell yeah.
But we have a creek back there. But what's something crazy that's happened while working at the Greenway?
Nothing crazy, to be honest. Aside from, the trees that
The
come
bobcat,
down.
and yeah, you're always like, anytime there's a storm,
Yeah.
these guys are out there chainsawing trees down.
Yeah,
They fall over the path.
Dude, it's rough. It's kind of like sketchy sometimes because we'll have to go out right after a big storm, and I'm like, some of these trees might fall right now. And you're like driving through like super slow. Like, all right, this is kind of sketchy, but it's fun. I like working with chainsaws and stuff, and it's cool to like plant stuff too, like learning about like, I don't know the exact word for it, but like plant life in general, learning how they survive, which ones are best for like that environment and stuff. It's a rewarding job for sure. I will say that. I left before and then came back, and dude, I wish I would have never left. I'm like, dude, this job rules. Like, get to be outside every day, get to take care of things for the community, do things for the community. Like, it's super nice.
Dude, I love that trail. It's like that. I need to get back on it because I'm kind of like bulked right now, and I need to like slim up a little bit. So I'll be out there running here now that it's hot.
You.
So
I feel you guys.
well, let's do this. Let's talk about like what's next for Fuzzripper, man. Like what's coming up on the horizon. We got the show tonight, but what kind of upcoming shows do we have coming down the pike? Tours, new recordings, new music videos. What do you guys got going on?
As far as shows, we're still fielding some things right now. We've had a couple tour offers, but things just haven't lined up with us personally, whether that be our family or events happening or, whatnot, and our lives individually. We do plan to go out on the road in October. I don't have the dates off the top of my head, but that's currently being booked right now.
How long do you think that'll be? 2 weeks, 1 week?
I think it's like 12 days.
Yeah,
Okay.
12 or 13.
It's kind of
Yeah.
the southeast.
Yeah,
Southeast.
southeast, yeah. But that's where like where we feel comfortable. We still have day jobs, so 14 days or less is best for us. But yeah, we're still we're hoping something's gonna come up. We'll be able to work with somebody that really vibes with us, and we get on the road with somebody that's could potentially help us too. That would be awesome. As far as writing and albums, I'm constantly writing. I wrote like half an album that was supposed to be a Masters of the Universe type vibe, and then I just like put it on the back burner. So I've been writing a slasher album.
Okay.
So yeah.
Sick, dude.
So far I have 2 or 3 songs. It's gonna be like classic slasher type songs, films into songs, but I'm writing them like perspectives of like the emotions of the killer, like the things that they understand and why we don't understand why they're doing it, but I'm writing it what I think why they're doing it.
Wow.
And like one of them's like Friday the 13th, Jason and his mom, that relationship, it's very strange, and he hears her all the time, and in his mind he just thinks that he wants to get rid of all these people at Crystal Lake. In their mind they want to party, they're teenagers, party. But musically it's very much the same style as the new album, but I want to do some things differently. I'm really wanting to reamp more on the next album. I only double track this album. Some people like double tracking, some people like quad tracking. I personally am a fan of just double tracking, but I'd like to change things up and quad track for the next album and reamp. I'd like to get some Mesa sounds going and blend them with some Marshall sounds. Very cool. Just kind of fill in the gaps. I I'm sure we'll hit up Jeremiah when that time comes to work on that stuff, because I don't have a whole lot of experience with reamping.
Yeah.
I've done it maybe 2 or 3 times, but every time I've done it, it's worked out. But he just has better gear than me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'll end up sounding better. Yeah, we're constantly trying to book shows right now, which is harder than you would think it would be. But I have to just constantly remind myself that we don't suck and we'll get there, you know. And I mean, I definitely have faith in this project, but I think that the way things are now will kind of beat you down if you have that mentality of like how I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how I grew up is, you know, you went on a tour and half the dates were really awesome and half of them sucked.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's more of the sucking these days for us, you know.
Yeah.
We're kind of still fresh. Not a lot of people know about us. And it's harder to kind of start that fire, that word of mouth kind of fire, because everything's different now. I don't even know if there is a word of mouth fire anymore. You know, you used to see an awesome band and you told all your friends about it at school. I don't know if that's even a thing anymore.
I just find that people are so distracted. They're always on their phones, you know. Even when they're at shows, you know, between bands, they're on their phone. So I think utilizing social media, that's a huge one to kind of create a buzz around your band. You know, unfortunately, I think that's a tool that you have to use. But I think people, like, once they actually see you live and they have a great experience watching your band, there isn't any crazy like technical difficulties or whatever, which almost every band these days plays to some type of backing track, especially in metal.
Not
so
us.
It's so common. Yeah, not you guys.
Not us. We don't do stuff like that.
I mean, even last night we were at a show and like the opening band, it was honestly their first show. So they were all like, you could see how excited they were. Drummer's drum set was perfect. And unfortunately, like the rig went down. The guitars weren't going through the house. You could hear vocals and backing tracks and drums. And the drummer, they played an entire song with just that. And I was just like, guys, like, cut it and fix the problem and cut a song or two. And they ended up having to do that. But I just felt so bad for those guys because they were doing something really cool. But when that technical thing goes wrong, it's a real sad thing. But so anyway, fans seeing you having a great experience, hopefully it's a packed out show, and then having that tied into the social media, I think is how you get hooked on a band, and then it being good music too. Right? So, which I think you guys have that part of it down. If I hear a band and it's phenomenal, I'm very old school. I just listen to it like crazy. Like, it's very rare these days that I do hear a band that I get hooked on, but I mean, going back to the classic stuff like, Metallica or Megadeth or, getting into like Pantera or Dream Theater, there were just so many bands when I was getting into guitar that were just blew you away. Yeah. And I guess these days, if you're going to find that band, you almost have to look towards extreme metal.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many, there's not many heavy metal bands coming out these days that I'm just like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah. There's some thrash bands. They're fewer and far between, but yeah, that's what I like about Fuzzripper, man, is you guys are doing something different. You're melodic, but it's still heavy and exciting. It's a real metal experience for fans, and the songs are memorable, so get hip to Fuzzripper, everybody that's watching. So you guys want to add anything to that?
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see you guys play tonight. It's going to be a fun night. I hope the show goes well. I'm wishing you guys the best. Thanks for coming on Shred Sessions.
Appreciate it.
It means the world to me. Anybody that's made it this far in the episode, please share it. Please smash the like button. Drop a comment. If you know these guys, definitely drop a comment. I love to hear from anybody that watches this far into the show. So, but that's it. Thanks for watching. Shred Sessions 19. Thanks, Fuzzripper.
Oh yeah, thank you, man.
Thank you.